Well, hello there, and welcome back to Freeform Disney. Okay, I'm Jeremy, by the way. In case I've got people who don't know me, I should toss that out there. Alright, so Bad Batch just finished up Friday, and I thought I'd go ahead and rank all the characters from the Bad Batch, which is a tall order. There are a few. To be exact, how many did I pull? I pulled 65. So, just a few characters right there. Let's see. Hello there to Editor and Reactions. Hello there to Evie. Hello there to Darscal. And hello there to Dodo Dureste. Welcome, welcome. Hi, everyone. Let's see. What do we got up there already? Evie. Ranking Bad Batch. Talking about Crosshair. Impressive what they did with the Crosshair. This is true. And we got Evie's ranking of just the Bad Batch themselves. Okay. So, let me go pop this up. I'll put myself away for a second just so you can see. There are the 65 characters that I pulled from there. And I definitely could have missed something. Also, maybe there's a character that I thought was too minor, and you might have included yourselves, but those are the 65 characters that I went ahead and pulled. And I'm going to move over here so I'm a little further off to the side here. A little less blocking everything. But yeah, so we got a few. Just a few today. To be honest, I was surprised. I didn't expect this many characters. Put it a different way. Rebels Season 1 did not have this many characters for the first season. They just didn't. And I admit, in the first season when I did the ranking for it, I didn't grab every character. I did miss a few. I know I did. But it's intriguing just how many we had. In fairness, especially, say, arcs like the one over we had on Rylot, that helped too, because we didn't focus on the Bad Batch, so we had to introduce like a whole host of new characters that we hadn't talked about at all in the show. And we brought Rampart back, and we also brought Crosshair back, and the Bad Batch even came in the second half of it, but other than that. Okay. And I do have some that are just kind of stand-ins. I've also got a couple of Saws people down here. I don't think they ever got names in the show, but they actually did pop up in both the first episode and the third, and we got to see them a little. Or then there's characters like this who I'm like, we'll have that her stand in, the little Feline girl who's unnamed, stand in for all the people that were captured over there by the Sigerians in that episode. So, we've got unnamed people in here, that's for sure. Definitely we do. I even put Palpatine in, because we saw a thing from him, but I don't think it counts enough to do much with. I debated it. Oh, anyway. Anyway, so 65 characters. Okay. And, hey, we got a few of you up and around, so I'm not alone, and that's always nice. As I said, feel free to make comments as we go through. More than glad to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are on these characters. And, yeah, I've got tiers going from the double S all the way down to the F. I guess I might be a little more visible if I go ahead and do it that way. There we go. The double S down to the F. Okay. So let us start with the Feline girl. We'll just go from side to side. So it's alphabetical, largely speaking. Granted, some of this, I think I put a Feline girl and a Grand Merchant and a Alina Merchant. Since we don't actually know anything really about them other than their species. So it's like, Curious to know what I think of Sid. Well, we'll get to her in the second row. Alright, so the Feline girl. And really kind of standing in for the other people that were captured. This was episode 5. Rampage. The one with Moochie in it. The first one was Sid in it, speaking of Sid. So we didn't really get to know any of them at all. Obviously, this is one of the early examples, I think, of how Omega just seems to strike up a friendship with anyone right here. The Fleeing Girl being a good example of that. So it was that. But as far as those characters, we pretty much didn't get to know them at all. Can't say much, really. To be honest, I don't really even care if we ever see them again. It's not an F. I don't dislike them. I mean, they're just here. Happily over in the D tier. There's just not much to them. We could have characterized them a little more if we'd felt like it. We didn't feel like it. They're a means to an end. Hey, now we've got a Grand Merchant. So this is episode 4. This is the one where we sold Echo as a droid to this Grand Merchant. So, interesting stuff. He was a bit of a character off the bat. Would have been interesting to see a little more. I mean, he's a solid C tier. Assuming I can move this. Whoa, it doesn't want me to move anything now. Well, that doesn't work very well now, does it? Whoa, okay. Weird delay there. Alright. So the Grand Merchant, I think, is just a solid C. Just heads right in there. Fine character. Up next, we have another merchant. So this time it's the Alina merchant. This is from the 2nd episode. So Cut and Run. So this is one with Cutler Queen on it, where we went back to Seleucami, and this is the merchant that goes ahead and gets them the fake IDs. Clearly, there seems to be a history between Cut and this merchant. They definitely feel like they know each other. So it hints toward other things that might be interesting. Not enough to get to a B tier, though. But higher C tier than our other one there, I'll say that. Pretty solid C tier. Okay, this one. These are the astromech droids from the 4th episode from Cornered. So, don't really know a lot about them. I mean, it's kind of like, where is the other droid? Let's see, GS8 here. Oh, it's behind me, so you're not gonna be able to see that. But GS8's also in here. Yeah, you know what? I might do GS8 out of order just to get these ones from episode 4 done. So, astromech droids. They're there to serve a purpose. Not much else. Now we will talk about GS8 though for a moment. Realize I'm blocking your view of any character I'm currently talking about. I should move over to the other side. I'm going to move to the other side. Here we go. Then at least I'm not blocking whatever character I'm most recently talking about. That seems like it might at least be a little better as an idea. So I'm just going to shift myself over. Ooh, look at that. I'm sliding. There we go. I'm over here now. So this way, I won't be blocking the character I'm most recently talking about, which will generally be over here on this side. I don't know why I haven't done that in the past. It makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Well, anyway, that'll go out of order for a second. This is GS8, the leader of those droids back over from episode 4. Who... Wait, that's not GS8. Where's that Oh, shoot. Let me mix up all my characters here. Okay. Sorry, that is GS8, but that's the wrong episode. Where is my droid, my protocol droid from that episode? Do I have the protocol droid in here? Maybe I do not. Oh, there it is. The head got cut off. Well, that works well. It's actually CG67. Sorry, the head got cut off on this one, but that's who it is. To be honest, wasn't a fan. I actually like the astromech droids better. So, low D tier. Just didn't like that one. Character, it was just a giant stereotyping of where to go there, and nothing really new brought to the table. So, yeah, just not a fan. You know what? Down there. Let's put an F tier. Just wasn't a fan of where we went the character. Okay. I should mention this now, especially. So when I'm doing all these character rankings, I'm only going to be using what we saw in the Bad Batch. That's how I'm going to do this. I'm not talking about the character as a whole in the Star Wars galaxy. So in this case, that means Bib Fortuna purely based off of what we saw here in Bad Batch, as much as I can really separate all of that in my own head anyway, if we're being honest. So this isn't what we know about Bib Fortuna from Mandalorian, or Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi, or Bib Fortuna from Episode 1, or Bib Fortuna from the books, the comics, etc. Purely Bad Batch. So purely based off the Bad Batch here. Interesting. So this was episode 5 again. Rampage with Muchi. That was Bib Fortuna's reason for even being in there. Was that he was paying Sid to go ahead and get Muchi back, who had been taken by Sigerian slavers. As a new present to Jabba. On top of Patissa, which we know Jabba had, who died over in Return of the Jedi. So maybe we'll see Muchi later. We'll talk more about Muchi in a bit when we get to Muchi down there, a couple rows down. But, yeah, Bib Fortuna, I think Bib Fortuna was interesting, even within just the Bad Batch. Certainly enough that I'd be curious to know more about the character, even if this was the first time I had ever seen anything about Bib Fortuna. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, even just off of this, definitely I would go ahead and put Bib Fortuna, I think, as a solid B. Solid B. Definitely interested to know more. And that was definitely alphabetically out of order. We should have had AZ first, who's up next. Oh, hey, let's see. Evie says, we'll rewatch the stream after it ends. Oh, your Wi-Fi is really bad right now. And oh, wow, lagging so much you're 20 seconds behind. Well, leave some comments down below at the end. Tell me what you think of some of these rankings, if there are differences in there. I know you put your rankings of the Bad Batch themselves up there. But yeah, hopefully be able to rejoin. You can always rejoin at any time here too. It's not the same as missing on a party of say a show or a movie. But yeah, if it gets fixed there, hopefully for you. Alright, so AZ was a fun character. I really thought we were going to lose AZ at the end. I was honestly surprised after we went that far that we didn't do it. Especially with a show that hasn't pulled its punches too much over the course of the season. So that actually surprised me a little. Okay, so where does AZ go? I think AZ acquitted himself. I don't know. I mean, I think we present him more male. I think he's got a male voice, but I think we'll go with their self, because I have no idea it's a droid. So anyway, I think AZ you did quite a good job. I quite enjoyed AZ. I'm putting AZ up in an S tier here. So I really liked AZ. Sounds good, Avi. Hopefully you make it back. Okay, so characters, to be honest, that I did not remember the name. I did not remember the name of Bolo. I honestly could not have told you what the heck his name was if you quizzed me on it before. But Bolo is one of Sid's two almost henchmen, I don't know, but also they're just kind of the regular barflies, it seems. But they clearly have a good connection to Sid and are willing to take on certain things from her, so closest thing Sid has to friends, maybe? We see them a lot throughout here. Quite a lot, really. Even if I never really got to know their names over the entire course of the season. And they're fun. Nothing bad about them. I mean, there's kind of a solid C tier. Higher up in the C tier, but yeah, it's nothing super good, nothing super bad or anything. They're very middling, really. Very useful to have in the show, but not characters I really care about in any real way. Hell, I didn't even know their names. Okay, Cad Bane. Again, only from the show. But the show did one heck of a job showing us Cad Bane. Cad Bane's introduction in episode 8 at the very end when he takes on Hunter. And, oh man, the music as well. And then throughout episode 9 with all the fighting that went on between him and Fennec Shan. Oh, let's see. Scal, you're saying, oh, probably right. Probably talking about Bolo there, just being over there. Yeah. Okay, so Cad Bane. I mean, dang impressive presentation of him. To be honest, purely based off of his Bad Batch performance, I'm actually more impressed with Cad Bane than if I were having to take his entirety of his Clone Wars performance. There's a little more ups and downs in there, shall we say. So, yeah, no, well acquitted of himself right here. I mean, to be honest, I thought Cad Bane was impressive enough to shove up in the double S, just based off of what we saw of him here. Very impressively done. Yes, give us a Cad Bane spin-off right there. That's where we'll go ahead and do the Boba Fett and Cad Bane fight. We'll do a spin-off. That would be fun. I also get to follow some bounty hunters around. I mean, that would be a very episodic show, right? We go from bounty hunt to bounty hunt. Yeah, could go for that. I could do that. But yeah, all the way up. Okay, Caleb Doom, as presented here within the Bad Batch. So this is not taking in any part of everything we know of Kanan over from Rebels, or the Caleb Doom presented to us in the comics, which is mostly similar to this one. To be honest, as a character, I don't think Caleb changed that much. The events changed, to be sure, between the comics and episode 1, but I don't think as a character he changed all that much. A little bit, yes. Anyway, Caleb Doom presented via here in the show. Oh man, that's tricky to separate out everything I know about Caleb Doom and try to only rank that. Oh, that's a messy one. Doesn't help that we use the same voice actor on it either, right? Or that I know the comic section that we went ahead and retconned. Okay, so he's presented, he comes in, brings in the Bad Batch. It's kind of funny. Doesn't get a whole lot of interaction with Captain Gray or Depa Billaba before every Order 66 hits. Like, if this were Comics 1, even up to the point of Order 66 hitting, there'd be a lot more to talk about because the comics gave a lot more talk about Caleb Doom at that age prior to there. And we had more of a connection, but we don't here. Oh, good, Evie's back. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Scal saying Caleb Doom, very interesting in the short time had it. But yeah, it's like, I'm debating between A and B. We didn't get it. I don't think the presentation was good enough to earn the S tiers, but that's where I'm looking at. It was a very interesting presentation nonetheless. I think it's a low A tier. So he's going to be on the low end here as we keep going. Okay, jumping. You know what? Let's keep over there for episode 1 for a moment. I'm going to jump to this one here. This is Captain Gray, who in the comics is an incredibly interesting character. If you've seen my Rebels rankings, you know I rank Captain Gray up a bit. Here within the show, Captain Gray, we don't see Captain Gray interacting. Heck, we don't even see Captain Gray take the helmet off. So there's no real connections or interactions with Caleb and Depa outside of just this military formality, and very briefly before he turns, and pretty much after the turn, and well, Depa dies, we never even see him again anyway, I don't think. So, yeah, I wish there was more, because Gray is such an interesting character within the comics. Well, I mean, both of our 2 clones, I mean, we only really got Gray here, we didn't get Styles at all, but maybe he was in the background somewhere. But anyway, so Captain Gray within here, pains me. Captain Gray is going to go top out the D tier because you could have done more. I mean, you could have given us at least just a little more, which also I think might have hammered home the betrayal as well. And that potential was there. I mean, it sure as hell was there. Read the comics, it's definitely in there. But not here in the show. I mean, we go to the point of making this a special character. If you've never seen anything else, he's a special character, and you're absolutely not going to care about this guy because we do nothing to go ahead and help you do that. He doesn't even seem to have a whole lot of a personality within this episode. So it pains me to do it, but yeah, topping out the D tier for now. Scal would have gone with a C tier there. Yeah. That was kind of my debate, C or D, so, yep. Okay. Up next, while we're talking about captains, we have Captain Bragg. So, this is Captain Bragg. This was episode... Oh, what episode number was that? Was that episode 10? I'm thinking episode 10. After we had our mid-season multi-parter. Anyway, so Captain Bragg, well, we ran into because this was our episode with Senator Avi Singh, and she was going ahead and presenting the takeover, essentially, of the Empire over the planet and trying to legitimize the whole thing. So we got to see her a bit. Got to see her interrogate Avi Singh later. She seems interesting from what little we saw. The funny thing is, we see her a fair bit more over the course of the episode, I think, than we actually see Caleb Doom within it. But there's just not enough to talk about. She seems interesting. I'd like to know more. It's kind of that one there. But I don't think quite enough to get into the B tier. It's close, but I think she's just a high C tier for me. You already forgot the character was in Bad Batch, yeah. Again, all of this, remember, purely based off of Bad Batch itself, specifically nothing else. So, an important thing to note because there may be a character you might otherwise care about for a different reason here. And so, yeah. Again, just like, I mean, heck, let's talk about what I would have gone ahead and done with our Captain Gray otherwise right there. So, yeah. Just, what can you do sometimes? What can you do? But yeah, Captain Bragg. I think we'll see her again in the future. I'm going to say that. I think she will pop up, especially if we're going to do anti-atrocity stuff. She's in the neighborhood. Maybe we'll see her pop in. So I wouldn't count her out for seeing her again in season 2 or 3. And she could arise. Depends what we do with her character. Hell, she could fall, depending on what they do with the character. Okay, speaking of characters that are well known for more than just Bad Batch, from both Clone Wars and Rebels, we have Cham Syndulla. So, purely off of this. So this is a Cham who's tired of war, tired of fighting, and just wants to settle down. Which is definitely a different Cham from the Cham we know and the others. And yeah, no, it's an interesting portrayal of Cham. He definitely gets a character arc over those, over the first episode, really. Second episode doesn't really give him much arc. That's much more Bad Batch rescue time. But, yeah. Definitely would give him a nice arc. And that's episode 11, by the way. Episode 11 and 12, I should say. Evie says, Echo, Gregor, Rex, you are in danger. Yeah, would you know, go ahead and include Clone Wars in there. Or Rebels, to some degree, for a couple of those. It gets a little messier for certain characters, right? Okay, so... I said no, I thought Cham, again, he probably had one of the best character arcs in that set of 2 episodes. Hauser being the other, who had one heck of an arc. Hera probably a little below that. Something like that as far as the character arcs are concerned. Well, anyway, yeah, Cham's a nice, solid entry right here. And what will we do with Cham? I think high A tier. I don't think he quite cracks the S tier just based off of Bad Batch. If I'm talking about the character as a whole, he's up a little higher, but purely off of Bad Batch, it's a high A tier. Chopper the murderous droid. Well, not in this one so much, but so yeah, ever popular Chopper, but purely based off of what we saw here within Bad Batch. I mean, he's an interesting enough character here in Bad Batch. Funny enough, my very problems with him don't actually even come into play, nor some of the really positive things I think about Chopper either. It's just a quick view of Chopper, much earlier in time. I think this Chopper is a solid B tier, really. And I think Bib's actually more interesting to me as far as Bad Batch is concerned than Chopper was. Yeah. I think that's where he goes. Now we get to Sid. Scal, you were asking what I think of Sid, so here we go. Sid. Oh, and hey, hello there to Mega Wyrax while we're at it. Okay, so where will I rank Sid? I really liked Sid as a character, let me say off the bat. I definitely thought she was very intriguing. Lots of mystery, too, still, because we don't know all that much about her. We know more about her personality than we have any idea about the rest of who she is. Certainly we've gotten a good idea of her personality, though. So, based off of that, let's see. I think Sid gets a solid S tier above AZ. It's like, yeah, above AZ. Yep. I said, now I really like Sid as a character. Definitely was a ton of fun throughout this. Not enough to get a double S from me. Not here. But a solid S, though. So, there you go. There is... You were curious to see what I'd think of Sid, and there's the answer. Yes, Maguire. Sid is taking care of Gregor. I'm sure much to her chagrin on that one. She didn't seem very happy about it. Probably, if we could make a guess. Based off of her reactions to Rex showing up in the first place back over in episode 7. So, yeah, I'm sure it's her favorite. Scout says, an interesting choice, huh? Interesting. Now, where would you go ahead and rank Sid? I said, certainly where I'm putting Sid. Hey, we get to Evie's favorite of the Bad Batch characters. Quote-unquote Bad Batch characters. Originally a Bad Batch member, even in the beginning of the show. Not later, I suppose. Depends on how you want to put it. But anyway, Crosshair's up next. So, big characters. It's interesting. Again, these are alphabetically sorted as a general note based off of however the heck I named them. Which is why we got those couple things of a Feline girl, a Grand Merchant, and a Alina merchant. Maybe I should have done something different so they didn't all start with A. Would have had Feline girl, Grand Merchant, Alina merchant, something like that. But anyway, means Wrecker gets to be dead last in this. So anywho, that means Crosshair is up next. Scal, you said you would have put an A. Yep. Yeah, you gotta find out a lot about the character. I said, I imagine we'll keep learning more about Sid. But, based off personality, yeah, that's where Sid goes for now. Maybe I'm in a generous mood today, you never know. The ex-Bad Batch characters. So, Crosshair, up to the top. If I can get it. There we go. Cad Bane, move aside. That's where Crosshair is for the moment. I'm not sure if Crosshair holds the #1 spot for the end of this, but I'll figure that out as we go. Certainly Crosshair is solidly up there at the moment. I mean, Crosshair is an interesting character off the bat, but what we did with Crosshair in here, even early on, was very interesting. And with episode 15 and those conversations between him and Hunter, and we deepened his character immensely, and he's incredibly intriguing off of what we did. I mean, he's probably one of the most three-dimensional characters we have in the show here. And we're willing to let him choose this side of the Empire and have his reasons for that, etc. A character that, we're all about the whole redemption of, supposedly, but yeah, it's back to the Bad Batch being willing to explore shades of gray a little bit more. And Crosshair is our shining example of exactly that. And what an intriguing character. I definitely don't know where the heck we're going past here with this. I just don't. Will we still rescue Crosshair eventually? Will he join the Bad Batch later? I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, Evie's going to rank their top 10 episodes, huh? I can tell you my top 8. Ooh, just bumped that. Sorry about that. Okay, let's move on. Cutler Queen. Purely based off of this Bad Batch episode, so we don't get some of the talk about why he deserted in the first place, because that came up in Clone Wars, but not really here in Bad Batch. So, yeah, here just based off of this, I mean, he was definitely interesting. 100%. I quite enjoyed the episode, too. I think Cut gets... It's going to be either A or B. It's somewhere in that range. Just trying to put my head together there. Also make a comparison to people like Caleb and see where Cut stands in relation to Caleb as far as the show. Yeah, I think Cut was more interesting than Caleb. I liked Cut better. So I think Cut is an A tier right up there. I didn't like Cut as much as I liked Champs and Doula within the show, definitely. I mean, there's a bit of a gulf here still. So Champ's definitely here and Cut's a bit below. Number 1, episode 15. Yep, you and me both. You and me both. Okay, up next, Depa Billaba, Jedi Master. So we only saw her in episode 1, and we watched her die in episode 1. Don't know a lot about her from just the show. Just the show Bad Batch. We get to see her make a sacrifice to go ahead and, also try to make sure to push Caleb out, save Caleb. As a general, she doesn't seem that impressive, which is actually kind of disappointing. The way we brought in the Bad Batch to save them all, I mean, let's be honest, that hurt Depa Billaba. It hurt Captain Gray. It was a messy one we did with that. It never happened in the comics, of course. The Bad Batch wasn't there. So, yeah. I think it hurt Depa Billaba as well. I think she was interesting nonetheless. But looked a little incompetent, shall we say. As a Captain Gray, frankly. But, even with that, I think she was still more interesting and interesting enough to get a C tier, but I'm going to put it... For some of the way we heard the character, I think she goes below Bragg. Yeah. Although the fighting style was fun. Now, okay, we're gonna go above. She'll probably be decently up in the C tier when this all shakes out, is my guess. But I just can't do more. Not based off of her presentation within the Bad Batch. If I had more from the comics, etc., yeah, sure, but not from here. Mega Wyrex, I'd like to see her more in action. Yeah, her fighting style was fun. We saw her take a couple poses. There was a Soretsu pose, I think, in there at one moment, too. Switched over. Yeah, anyway. Some interesting stuff. Oh, and Evie's continue to put out episodes. Episode 12 as your number 2. Interesting. That would not be my number 2. I'd have to debate. Would I like number 12 more than number 11? 11 and 12 being the 2-part Ryloth arc. I think I'd have to take episode 11. I mean, Hauser got a great presentation in episode 12. But episode 11 really was all of those characters and a lot of the arcs in there. Even a good bit of Hauser's arc was within episode 11. So I'd probably put 11 above 12. And also episode 14 is probably my second favorite of the season, but that's another matter. Anywho. And episode 2, cut and run. Good episode. Not going to beat out episode 1 for me, though. Hard, though. Again, in fairness, it's a 71-minute episode. Okay, let's move on. So it's time for Echo. This one's painful. Frankly, it was painful for me during the show. Not just now and where I have to rank him based purely on the show. But the fact is, Echo is an interesting character. We knew him before he ever got turned into the more machine than man now that he happens to be. But the show really, really treated him poorly, shall we say. To put it lightly. We didn't care that much about Echo in the show. Maybe we should have just had the original Bad Batch and just left Echo out and then it all would have been better. See, there you go. Ouch. I have made my comments that everybody always seemed to have a part to play, and I mean, they did that. So definitely when it came to some of the major action pieces, usually everybody had some kind of good role. And Echo certainly had his stuff, especially being able to interact with the different computers. Especially that. But that isn't the same as character development. Or actually getting to expand on him, or hear him, or hear what he thinks. Heck, he came back to Camino at the end in episodes 15 and 16, right? His home. In a way that it was not for anybody else who was there. Because the rest of our Bad Batch was rather different. Okay, Omega side. Omega really grew up there, and for longer. But the Bad Batch don't really look at Camino the same way, I don't think. Bear in mind, Echo was part of the group that really heavily defended Camino from being taken out, and they were part of that big fight earlier on. And we saw just how much Camino meant to him. And Echo, we haven't seen him return to Camino since the events of Season 7 and he got rescued from the Separatists. It would be interesting if we had gotten to see some of that. It should have been a chance to see more of Echo. What does coming home mean to Echo at this point in time after he's free from the Separatists? After he spent another few months, probably at least, out in space past that point. Is there a niceness to coming home? Does he hate his home now because of where it brought him? Who knows? I don't know. And none of us know because we didn't see anything about it. Heck, we were down in those chambers. You know, Omega's like, oh, I watched you all grow up. Echo was there too. He sure as hell didn't grow up in those vats. We didn't even care. Dang. I mean, this is how much Echo just... We don't care sometimes in this show, I swear. Mega Wire X. Dressed as a droid. Yes, that was a ton of fun. That was a ton of fun in that episode. As I said, it was fun, but even that didn't do a whole lot for his character, though. Had a moment with the Martezes. Yeah, I agreed. It doesn't look like Filoni had any special idea for the character, though. And Scal's getting dinner and we'll be back. Okay, see you in a moment, Scal. Okay, so what do I do with Echo? Again, remember, I'm not using his background in Clone Wars. If I was, there would be a lot more to talk about. Because he even had an arc in that first Bad Batch arc in Season 7. There definitely was an arc. That's when he came back from the Separatists, and we definitely got to see a bit there. Which also left all kinds of potential for Bad Batch to explore, but it didn't. You know what? I'm doing it. Echo goes into the D tier. just the pure level of lack of development of him as a character, as one of the 5 Bad Batch characters we're watching throughout the entirety of the show. And we do that little with him. Yeah, I'm shoving him down there. I debated putting him in the C tier. Maybe that would be a little more fair. Maybe I'm a little too annoyed with the show still over their treatment of Echo. So, maybe it'd be more fair if I put him in the C tier. But I'm putting him in the D tier. Just frustrated. And we'll never get to see those reactions to Kamino now. It can never happen. We can still go ahead and rectify and actually get some bloody character development and actually care about Echo as a character in the future, but there are lost opportunities that can never be brought back at this point. Anyway. Megawire X Echo D-tier Domino Squad. And Evie. Ranking the episodes in the comics later. I have to think a little more about what episode is what. Yeah, no, understood. Understood there, Evie. I'm surprised I didn't hear anything about episodes 7 and 8 yet out of you there. Speaking of episodes, that was our big mid-season 2-parter. Okay, so let's move onward. Enough talking about Echo, enough of that rant. Just a little bit. I could probably rant more about Echo if we needed to. Anyway, Eleni, Syndulla, Hera's mother, who... Really? Do we see Eleni in Clone Wars? We probably do. Yeah, she's probably in the background in Clone Wars, so we see her probably in the cave, I'm guessing, when we meet Cham and the other Freedom Fighters. Someone will have to tell me if I'm right on that or not, but I'm guessing we probably meet Eleni at that moment. But as far as Rebels, she's already dead. So, frankly, I'm guessing we're going to see Eleni die here in the next season or the one after. But let's talk about Eleni, the person who clearly is definitely an inspiration for Hera. Cham certainly inspired Hera in some ways, but definitely Eleni and a number of others. There were all kinds of interesting moments within the episodes on Eleni. There were these pieces where you caught some of her own leanings in terms of motivations, and where it seemed like she definitely was so, let's say, at odds with Cham, and almost seemed more in line with Gobi at times. We definitely caught that, and we did all these nice little pieces that really give you an insight into what her thinking really was. So, no, I said, we did a good job of presenting her character within here. Mega Wire X, no, she wasn't in Clone Wars, okay. Other Twi'leks over there in the cave. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure, yeah. Wasn't sure if she was just in the background and we can later point out and be like, that green Twi'lek over there, that was probably her. Yeah, we'll call that one Eleni. Okay, so where will Eleni rank out? I think, actually, I'm actually going to put Eleni above Cham. As far as Bad Batch is concerned. Again, if I'm ranking Cham with the note of Clone Wars and Rebels in there, Cham goes higher. Just does. Cham would be at least S tier, probably, if I was ranking Cham as an entire character. There's a lot to that character. But just within this, we did a really impressive job with Eleni, actually. There was a lot of depth to her as a character, and I really like her, actually. Cham will probably get a lot more interesting once we include things like Season 2, and Cham very well might overtake Eleni in terms of the height on here. I would not be surprised by that at all. But as far as just in this set of 2 episodes, Cham, while I definitely like Cham, was not to that same height. It makes sense. This is a battle-weary Cham at this point. So yeah, Eleni's up there. Mega YRX, your headcanon says that she and Hera were in some other more secluded cave. I like the piece on Hera, although I don't see Eleni hiding out from that like that. Eleni seems more like somebody who would have been in the fighting. Yes, maybe you could argue she should, that Hera maybe would be a reason for it, but I don't see it. I see Eleni leaving Hera with some other people, and Eleni would be part of that fight. I mean, heck, Eleni wasn't even as battle-tired as her husband Cham. She was more toward Gobi's range of still being like, hey, we got problems here, we should keep fighting. So, I see Eleni fighting in that one. Anyway. Emperor Palpatine. Really, all we know of him is his speech, and we hear things about him on occasion, but that's about it. Kind of through third-hand knowledge of, hey, he did this with Tarkin, he's sending Tarkin to do this, or he approved of what Rampart's doing on this, or etc. So we get some third-hand knowledge of him, and then his speech that we all know from Episode 3. Let's see. Although this attack on my life has left me scarred, but my resolve has never been stronger. Anyway, yada yada yada. The First Galactic Empire! Anyway, Emperor Palpatine. Purely based off all this, yeah, solid B tier. Low B tier. I mean, he's interesting. Even if this was all you knew of Emperor Palpatine, I think he's an interesting character. Not more so than Chopper or Bib Fortuna based off of that. But yeah. I know you say that, Megawirex, that Hera was younger in the time and she didn't wear protection. I mean, it's not that long ago. I mean, the Clone Wars were only a few years long. So the time we're seeing them is at most, what, like 3 years later? So... who says that the regs are not programmed? Okay, it's time for Elite Squad. So these are the 4 members of the Elite Squad that Crosshair had, who we all met in Episode 3. That would be the one where we spent half the time with Crosshair, and the other half of the time, well, we were over on some asteroid fixing up the ship. Not the interesting part of it. Although there was some decent stuff over there, too. Now, out of these people, we have ESO1, ESO2, ESO3, and ESO4. Great names. That's really all I think we have for them. Maybe they have some other names, but I don't think we ever knew them. ES01, kind of the leader of the group of the 4 of them at first. Crosshair was the leader of the entire squad, but... gets killed because he goes ahead and stands up against Crosshair and says, no, we're not murdering those innocent civilians. We ain't doing it. And Sir Crosshair kills him for it. Yo. Whee! So that's what happened to ES01. I'll mention the other 3 here while I'm at it. The others survive all the way through until Episode 15, going with Crosshair out on missions and stuff. ES02 is the one we hear from the most. She talks here and there, and we definitely hear from her a good bit. Now, in Episode 15, well, Crosshair kills members of his elite squad, as well as some other people that were there. So ES03 and ES04 both die in Episode 15. But ES02 is still alive because she was downstairs hunting down Omega, as the case happened to be. And actually ends up escaping Camino on, like, the last transport out. After letting everyone know, Rampart know that, okay, Crosshair lost control of that. So she's still alive, and we're still going to see her some more, I'm sure. So there you go. Out of those 4, only one's even alive anymore. Okay. So, hey, hello there to Sailor X. Flamethrower girl. Yes, indeed. Okay, so ES01, the one who actually stood up to Crosshair and died in the very episode that we met him. I mean, nice. Bravo for actually being willing to take that step, but also a bit of an arrogant. What would the word be to be prejudiced against clones? Because there certainly was that, especially in ES01 more than the others. I don't even know what the right word would be. Yeah, we'll say bigoted against clones. How's that sound? I mean, you certainly caught that, especially from him. I think it was there to a degree in all 4 of them, but certainly in ES01. So yeah, no, ES01 was interesting from what we got to see of him, definitely, 100%. And extra points for actually standing up to Crosshair and getting killed. Somewhere here in this B tier. Not enough to get an A tier or anything. I think we'll go ahead and bottom out the B tier with ES-01. ES-02, who has been around quite a bit. We're going to put ES-02 a little higher, right above ES-01. And 3 and 4, we don't know much of anything about them, really. We didn't get a lot. Even if they survived all the way till episode 15, there's just not much to say. Welcome back, Darscal. Welcome back. Just ranking the elite squadron there. So ES-01, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 and 4. I think we'll just bottom out the C tier. They're fine. Nothing negative. Nothing super positive. They're perfectly fine C tiers. Let's see. 3 versus 4. Do I care about the difference between them? Not really. Consider them statistically tied. They're essentially the same spot. It makes no difference to me. Fennec Shand. Ooh, Fennec is up next. Good presentation within the show. Definitely. Tons of fun. Question is, how high does Fennec Shand go? That's the question here. And we did some interesting fake outs as to what her real motivations were at first. We definitely thought it was a very different direction with Fennec Shand than what ended up happening. And bravo to the show for that one. Definitely missed that one coming. So where does Fennec Shand go? Where does Fennec Shand go? I'm pretty sure we'll see more of her in the future. I'd be very surprised. I'm not talking about Bad Batch specifically. Obviously, we'll see more of Fennec Shand in Book of Boba and things like that, but I mean, her fighting skills, interesting little bits of her character as to what we know. I think Fennec Shand goes up here in the double S. Not higher than Cad Bane, though. Cad Bane seemed more impressive, even from just a Bad Batch here. But yeah, Fennec Shand's up there. Okay. Up next we have Gobi. Gobi. Interesting character. Now, from the other shows, I was never all that impressed with Gobi. Yet here, he's actually a character. He's actually got a personality and real cares and interests, and he's willing to take sides and conflict with other people, push boundaries, etc. Like, where is this Gobi later in life? I have no idea, etc. But no, this Gobi was really intriguing. I really like this Gobi. I definitely really like this Gobi. In fact, let's see. Where will you sit, Gobi? This Gobi's not an S tier. It's not quite that good. He's an A tier, but question is where he sits compared to the Syndulas. That's actually what I'm debating right now. Right here in between the Syndulas. Gobi came between the Syndulas. What can you do? And in a way, you can see that he would come between them a little bit. Yee. Not in that kind of way, though. Nah, he was more interesting to Jam as far as this was concerned. Not as much so as Eleni, though. Again, there was a lot of silent power within that performance. Let's see. Sailor X says, Dennis is A tier. Her jobber field is S tier. Mega Wyrex, like in real life. Good times. Oh, Fennec. Dennis is supposed to be Fennec, isn't it? Gotcha. Okay. You put Fennec in the A tier. I really liked Fennec. I might be... Maybe I'm being overly generous to characters today. I grant. I could easily grant. Okay. Oh, hey, it's Gonky. Well, there you go. That's Gonky right there. Solid. Double S tier. Hey, this should have just been the Gonky batch. That would have been good. Okay, maybe Gonki doesn't go to the double S. Yes. Actually, we shouldn't even call it the double S tier. We should call it the Gonki tier. Does anybody else yet earn the spot of being in the Gonki tier? Good old Gonki. In fairness, though, where does Gonki really go? I think Gonki will go above Palpatine, below Chopper. There's Gonki. I like Gonki. Alright, Gregor. We only got to know Gregor just a tiny bit here. Just in one episode. Certainly his usual fun self. But, okay. Just that episode. Take everything else out. Pull that out of my head. Only what I know about Gregor from episode 14. Sorry, I think I might have said 15, but episode 14. War Mantle. Gregor just off of that. I mean, he was interesting, but if I'm only going off of that, I don't have a ton to go off of. I think I'd put him on the A tier, but he's kind of bottoming out the A tier right now. Is he below Caleb? Let's see. Nah. He's above Caleb. There we go. Gregor goes above Caleb, but that's about it. Oh, here's a droid I tried ranking earlier. Not fully intentionally. So this is GS8. So this is Senator Avi Singh's protocol droid who contacts a Bad Batch, well, via Sid, and then they come and kind of leads that. Certainly, we get a bit of character out of GS8, to be sure. We actually get a name out of GS8 too. I can actually tell you a name instead of the Blank Merchant. Yeah, GS8's a character. Right there. Right below Palpatine. Not quite up with the other two droids there. More interesting than ES3 and 4, though. Gregor is crazy tier. Yeah, you got that right, Sailor X. Got that right indeed. Okay, Hera. From episodes 11 and 12 over on Ryloth. So Hera, definitely, we'd spent a lot of time with Hera. Early on, watching her start to, you could say, rebel against Cham a little bit, if anything, in terms of what was going on there. We had a beautiful shot of her looking up to the sky. I mean, even if we hadn't had all the discussion afterwards, the way it was shot and done, very nice. Her getting to pilot a little early on, seeing some of that. And, of course, an early connection with Omega. And, well, what she could do on the run. If anything, maybe she was a little too impressive. If I'm going to be honest, maybe she shouldn't have been quite that capable at this age in episodes 11 and 12. What can you do? No, Hera was I mean, it's probably why we did the Ryloth arc in the first place, was more about Hera than anything else. And, yeah, Hera's origin story, yes. For the Bad Batch cameo, you are definitely right, Megawire. It's essentially what it was. And in fairness, if that was all I ever knew of Hera, she would be an intriguing character that I would be like, okay, what's going to happen next with Hera? Definitely she would be. She's going to be above her parents, I'll tell you that much. Just based off of these two episodes. Even if that was all I ever knew of Hera. I think Hera is a solid S tier and goes above Sid. So, Hera's currently topping my S tier. And if we didn't do her character some good justice within that episode, those two episodes. Wow. Hera's origin story, that is for sure. Next up we have Hauser. Speaking of episodes 11 and 12. So this is Hauser. And Hauser is a clone that very much started turning our heads as far as how much control the chips had in their brains and the ability for other clones to turn against the Empire. So he clearly knew Cham well and the Syndulas and had been there a while and started having some real problems with what was going on and what Rampart was doing over here on Ryloth and the Empire as a whole and the framing of Cham, etc. And in the end, actually went ahead and laid down his weapon and encouraged his brothers to do the same, and actually successfully got a number of them to follow him on that. Whew. Impressive. I very much want to see more out of Hauser. No ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, heck, he had one heck of an arc in there too, but an interesting character. One of our most interesting clones I think we have met. Now, we've met tons of interesting clones, but over the course of the shows, but definitely Hauser is right up there. Let's see. Where does Hauser rank with all of that? With all of that nice commentary for him, and I'm sure we're seeing him again. He's definitely coming up, and as far as the whole idea of a clone rebellion and whatnot, I assume Hauser will be part of it, and he'll probably die in it too, but there's how it goes sometimes. Hauser is right up here. I'm just debating Hauser versus Sid, really. I mean, that's really my only debate. Is it? Yes, Hauser is S, that's for sure. But is Hauser above Sid or not? I love Sid personality-wise. She's so much bloody fun. I'm going to put Hauser below. I really enjoy Sid as a character, even if I don't have some of the rest of that on Sid. But yeah, Hauser's up there in the S tier. Oh yeah. It's funny when you look at it. Hauser's there. Gregor's actually down in the A tier a bit. Yeah, you wouldn't think that, but again, I'm not ranking Gregor off anything other than his Bad Batch appearance. So far, his Bad Batch appearance, I should say. The star of the show, shall we say, Omega aside. It's time to rank Hunter. I think it's fair to say he's the star of the show, aside from Omega. Heck, you could say they're co-stars, really. Where does Hunter rank? A lot of the interesting stuff in his character was more in relation to Omega, really, and that connection and how that was changing him, his leadership of the team throughout. Certainly, his connection to Crosshair especially mattered later, a little earlier on, what he was willing to do there. He wasn't a big character arc or anything like that. It's just not what we did with him. He wasn't big in arcing on things. But we certainly had arcs within there, even for him, mainly with Omega again. So where does Hunter rank? Good, solid character. Certainly nothing bad. Good, solid character from the show. I think I'm going to put Hunter here. To be honest, I liked Hauser more. I liked Hauser more than Hunter. I liked Hunter, but yeah, S tier right there. Did I enjoy Sid more than Hunter? Ooh, that's interesting. Not a good soldier, indeed. Again, Hunter was a really solid character. I think I need some more character development out of him beyond that, though. Funny enough, if I was ranking early in the season, it felt like we were doing more with his character in the first few episodes. But we didn't do a lot with him throughout the rest. He just became a pretty solid character that seemed pretty static through most of the show. Early on, that's where we're doing most of the Omega Hunter stuff. So yeah, I think I'm putting him there. Yeah. Okay, it's time for one of the kids of Cutler Queen right there. So this one right here is Jack. So kids of Cut and Sue, I should say. So this is Jack LaQuain. I'm trying to separate the two kids in my mind and see if I can really even separate them all that much. Let's see. I mean, the blue one, what's the blue one's name? Shea. Anyway, that was the one who actually seemed the older of the two, and the one that was more active in getting Omega to come out and play and making sure to go get help when help was needed. So Jack was the slightly less interesting of the two, I suppose. So, yeah, I mean, they're fine. It's not a lot to say about their characters, really. Yeah, what can I say about these two characters? Right up here. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go rank Shea at the same time, just because Shea's gonna go right above Jack. Same general spot right here, up above the oh, this is ES2 and 1, isn't this? Oh, I'm in my B tier. Is that where I wanted to put them? No, that is not. Sorry, I meant to put them here. In the C tier, right above ES3 and 4. That's actually where I was trying to put them. Actually, as I'm looking at these merchants, here, actually. There we go. I'll say this merchant's more interesting than Jack. There we go. So there's Shea and Jack. Bolo's friend is finally coming in. Again, speaking of characters that I would not have known the name of, honestly, from the show, this is Ketch. With a K. So Ketch was fun, too. They were both fun characters, even if there's just not a lot to say for them. Frankly, they're going to rank pretty much in the same spot, just because I don't have a lot more care or like for one versus the other. If anything, I think I'll put Ketch above Bolo, I think. So there we go. Ketch, Bolo. On to our ex-Prime Minister of Kamino, I suppose. Yee. Or maybe he still is Prime Minister of Kamino. Maybe he's just over in the other cities. We detained him and moved him there. I have no idea what the heck's going on with Lamazu right now, but he's not dead, and we're going to see him again sometime because of that fact. So this is Lamazu. Oof, the way it messed with some of my images to some degree. Look, it did not like the Kaminoans. Tried to cut their heads off, and in one case, pretty much completely did it. Ouch. Well, anyway, Lamazu first off. Lamazu was an interesting character, definitely. Definitely an interesting character throughout the show. I think I like Cutler Queen better, but Lamazu's right here above Gregor, below Cut. Yeah. Oh, hey, more merchants! We like our merchants around here. So this is our Mantell mix seller merchant over on Ord Mantell, who is a Pantoran, by the way. Intriguing, to toss a Pantoran out there. That's kind of a nice mixing of the galaxy that way. Who we know very little whatsoever about this person. I really debated whether I should even put this character in, but I chose to do it. So there she is. And wow, this kind of feels like where all the merchants go. This is merchant land up in the C tier, right? So up into merchant land she goes. And oop, things are slowing down and being weird here. There we go. Right below Jack. Sailor X doesn't follow orders. Megawires wants to keep little girls in a basement? Oh, one of us were talking about Lamazu. Maybe? Maybe we're talking about Lamazu. I think. You will have to tell me because I'm not entirely sure there. Alright, Moochie! Rancor! Back to episode 5. Yes, this is Moochie. This is not Moochie. It's like the Feline girl, not Muchi. Ah, yeah, you didn't mean Lamazu. Yeah, okay. I can see that. Where does Muchi go? Muchi was fun. That was a fun little episode right there. Oh, that was an interesting little warning for a second there. See, it was complaining at me. I said it was. Anyway, luckily it seems to be okay now. So where will Muchi go? Muchi, a solid, fun character, top of the B tier. Yeah, top of the B tier. I am very good with that right there. Okay, next up we have Nalase. Now it's a little harder to tell it's Nalase because it's cutting the top of her head off just a little there, and that would be the stone that would make it really clear that this is Nalase. So what can you do? Nalase was actually a pretty intriguing character with what was going on with her and her lab, and her going around Lamazu, hiring Fennec Shand over the course of this. I was impressed with Nalase, really. And I'm curious to see where we go beyond here. So much character growth for her versus anything we knew of her before. Yeah, I hope Muchi has a long and happy life too. Hopefully we see Muchi in a certain show coming up in live action. But yeah, Nalase. Nalase goes above Lamazu. Definitely more interesting than Lamazu, I think. And where will Nalase go? That is our question today. I think Nalase is above Hunter. Poor Hunter. If you asked me in the first few episodes, I would have expected Hunter to be higher. It's just that the rest of the show didn't do much more from him. In fact, he actually became the one person on the team that sometimes didn't seem to really contribute anything special. Which I thought was interesting too, but go figure. But yeah, no, Nalase, very intriguing. Yeah, I'm putting Nalase right between Hunter and Hauser. Hauser's still above Nalase for me. There's so much potential for some of these characters too, but also just based off of what we know, I really like Nalase. I know, yeah, she pushed Fives to his end, I know! But again, not including that though. She might lose a point or two if I was including that. But this is purely on her Bad Batch performance here. Whoa, and it's Omega up next. Wow. Speaking of big characters, hello. From Nalase to her protege, Omega. Oh, I knew I'd have to do this ranking soon. I think in many ways the star of the show, frankly. I think we can fairly say that. As much as it seemed like it would be Hunter at first, I think it really is Omega. Omega and the Bad Batch. That's how we'll name the show. Just change it that way. Omega's Bad Batch. Sometimes it feels like it. Where do I put Omega? The Grogu of Bad Batch, yes. There's only one debate I'm making right now. It's just debating with Crosshair. Which, funny enough, before episode 15 wouldn't have been a debate. Crosshair before episode 15 would have been lower. I mean, it's just straightforward. I think he might have still hit double S even before 15, maybe. Tricky question. If it weren't for episode 15, though, that would be easy. So again, it's just, does Omega go above Crosshair or below Crosshair? That's it. It's the only question here. I friggin' love Omega. I mean, Omega's surprised the heck out of me. And yeah, she'll top it. Omega surprised the heck out of me. She was my biggest worry about the show, actually. There I am topping her on the tier. But she was my biggest worry. I thought, oh, okay, we're putting a kid in to go ahead and lower the age of the show, so that's going to be dangerous. I mean, depending on how much we use her and whatnot. And in fact, that is not what we did with her character. Oh my word, that is not what we did with her character. Now, yes, it probably makes it more accessible that way, and I'm not saying they never did anything like that, of course. But as a general note, that was not the point or what they did. And wow, what a character. What a character. Wow. I agree with you, Crosshair's more complex. I don't disagree. But I like Omega more. So, yeah, I'll agree with you, Omega Wyrex. If I'm talking about who is the more complex character, yeah, Crosshair would win. If I'm talking about which one I like more, Omega wins. And Omega is growing up. I mean, there's only plenty more to go ahead and see from here out. So, this is for sure. For sure, for sure. Pop me back in here. There we go. Okay. I knew I had to make that debate at some point. I knew it was coming. And I did. It wasn't actually as hard as I thought it would be. Okay. Oh, yes, I did put this character in here. It's a little hard to see, to be honest. I probably should have cropped it out, or I don't know. Anyway, this is the Ordo Moondragon from episode 3. I thought, enough of a character that I can go ahead and shove it in, and rank it. Fun little character, messing around with the electrical devices and whatnot. So, Ordo Moondragon. Where does the Ordo Moondragon go? Right here. There's the Ordo Moondragon. Right below Captain Bragg, but, yeah, I'm pretty good with that. Above Ketch, below Captain Bragg. Yeah, I'm good with that. The battery-hungry dragon, yes. Hungry dragon. And up next we have the Pikes. Really, there were 3 Pikes, but the main head Pike was the main one we got to really see during that. That was episode 13, back over on Ord Mantell, or probably the weakest episode of the season, but and I mean, he was a Pike. There's not a lot more to say about him other than seems stereotypical Pike kind of character. We're probably going to see the Pikes more, maybe even this guy some more for all the heck I know, but yeah, solid Pike. Right down there. Right down there low in the C tier. Solid Pike. Oh, Sailor X, Omega is sugary sweet. Indeed. Indeed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just do both of the Martez sisters rather than doing Rafa now and Trace way later. So we'll hit both of them. So these are the Martez sisters. They popped up in episode 6. It was our second episode with Sid in there, and to some degree she gave them the mission anyway. As a high-class gangster, he was intimidating. I agree, Mega. I agree. You're making me debate that I should push up the Pike a little bit more. Yeah, I should push up the Pike a little bit more. Yeah, I should push the Pike up to there. Fair enough. Below Bolo and Ketch. Yeah, below Bolo and Ketch. Oh, hang on. Scal. So get this, found out not so long ago, a few weeks ago. Theory that Omega is the fighter bounty hunter that was with Poe in Rise of Skywalker. You mean the one that they had previously been part of, they grouped together and what? That person? Not a fan of that one. Not a fan of that theory at all. Oof. No. No. Can't do that with my Omega. No! Well, anyway, on to Rafa and Trace Martez. Not including what I know about them from the 4-episode arc in Clone Wars, where they were introduced along with the Nice Ahsoka arc. Well, it was the weakest arc of Season 7, to be sure, but just based off of this episode, I mean, they're interesting off of just the one episode here in Bad Batch, and I'm sure they're coming back. 100% bet on that one right there. If they don't come back, eat my shirt kind of thing. After all, they're directly connected to Rex, too, so they'll definitely be back. So, yeah, they were interesting off the bat. I always I like them, too, probably more than the average, back from that arc. I mean, I fully admit the weaknesses in that arc, too, but where did they go? I think here, actually. Sorry, Gonky. You're moving down. Rafa and Trace. Trace being the more interesting of the two. But, yeah, right below Chopper, above Gonky. Poor Gonky. But, yeah, that's a pretty solid B tier there, yeah. Okay, up next, back to the Muchi episode. Episode 5. Rampage, we have Rainey, the Sigerian slaver who was in charge of everything there. 2 different color eyes, etc., etc. Purely, looking at this, I don't think... Was Rainey one of the ones we knew from the Clone Wars arc? Oh, I should have looked that up someday. I think I did a breakdown, but I think Rainey was new just off of that, if my memory serves. I don't think he was one of the Sigerians we knew from the Clone Wars arc. I think. I have to double check that someday. Anyway. So this is Rainey. To be honest, we don't get to know much. He's just a cheap bad guy of the week kind of thing, if I'm going to be honest here. Yeah, cheap bad guy. By the way, I'm shifting things. I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. They're moving down to D tier. I think it's more fair for them to be down here. Anyway, as far as Sigerian slaver guy, God, he was stereotypical though, wasn't he? His Sigerians are just themselves. Yeah, it's not exactly a pro for the character there. It's like I expect a little more to the characters than that. There we go. He's just in the D tier. There just wasn't anything to him. That's it, just classic villain of the week kind of thing. Okay, up next we have Rasper 6 from the episode 4 Cornered. This was the guy who, when the Bad Batch landed, they went ahead and landed in his little area, his hangar bay, and then he reported the fact they were there over to Fennec Shand, instigating a lot of the rest of the events of the episode. So anyway, Rasper 6. Not really all that interesting. Fun enough, I suppose, when it comes to it, but even to all of his sadness, no, you can't leave yet. I haven't been paid. Please stay and be attacked by this bounty hunter. Please, she hasn't paid me yet. Can you imagine actually saying that? Funky character. Put him below the pike here. Up above the Sula Queen kids. The snitch, yes. Okay, it is time for Captain Rex. Well, not really a captain anymore, he's just Rex. So, Rex. Now, purely based off of the Bad Batch. Nothing of the myriad of stuff I know about him from Clone Wars. Nothing of the myriad of stuff I know about him from Rebels. Nothing else. Just Bad Batch. Okay, so if we're just looking at Bad Batch, he has a quick appearance at the end of episode 6. Then he appears in 7 and he's in there until he leaves at the end of 7. And then we hear from him a brief bit at the beginning of episode 14. That's what we have for Rex here to talk about. So that's Rex so far. Oh, let's see. Where will we put you, Rex? It's like, really, I think he was quite impressive, even just from the show. But man, I'm trying to pull apart the other stuff, because I know Rex way too bloody well, and I love him as a character way too much, so it's tricky. If we're just off of this, the show still presents him very nicely. I mean, he's definitely impressive within the show. God, this hurts. He's an A tier. There he goes. He's below Cham and above Cutler Queen. I think that's where Rex hits out, if I'm just talking about Bad Batch of the show. It's painful. If I was talking about him as a character as a whole, this actually just helps him that much more, but... yeah, exactly, Megawire. If only in Bad Batch he was good. If as a whole, he was very good. So it pains me a little to put him in the A tier like this, but if I'm just in Bad Batch, that's where he goes. Sailor, you still go S tier even then. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Fabian, off topic, will I do character rankings of The Mandalorian? Yeah, I think I will at some point. I definitely, probably as we get closer to Season 3 of Mandalorian, I'll probably do some character rankings for that. The first time I did a character ranking actually was for Season 1 of Rebels, which, funny enough, the reason it even came about was... I think I didn't know that there was something in... maybe it was that the finale was a 3-parter, something like that. And then the comics. And I think it was some weird combination that I was left with only like 1 or 2 episodes to cover for the week. And so then I went ahead and did a character ranking to go with it. I didn't do that first one live either, I don't think. But that way I just felt bad about it not doing enough. And... well, everyone loved it, and actually it was fun for me doing it too, so I did it again in Season 2, but did it live, and then Season 3 live, and I'll be doing it for Season 4 in a bit. Well, not just for Season 4, but everything through Season 4. So, means it was after Mandalorian Season 2 had aired. Same reason I didn't ever do a character ranking for Clone Wars, but I think I will sometime go back and do character rankings for Clone Wars. So yeah, definitely. Definitely I'll do Mandalorian, but yeah, it'll probably be closer to Season 3. So, when we're working our way back that direction. Darscal says Boba. Well, I don't think I get to rank Boba yet. Maybe in Season 2. Roland Durand is up next. To be honest, I think he's interesting, and I think he'll come back. Certainly much better than our Sigerian as Villain of the Week, let's put it that way. And I said, yeah, I think he'll come back. I think he's definitely an interesting character, and definitely some interesting potential as to what we might see out of him in the future. He's a B tier. I'll say that off the bat. It's where in the B tier he hits, really. That is the question. I think he beats out the Martez Sisters. So he's going to be right there. Below Chopper, above the Martez Sisters. You mean Alpha? Yes. After all, when we finally have that episode, we'll just call it Alpha and Omega. We'll just call it that. So when we see that title, we all know what's going on there. And now Ruby! We actually saw Ruby in 2 different episodes, believe it or not. Beginning of episode 7, where we barely saw her. And then episode 13, our Roland Durand episode, because it's actually Roland Durand's pet. Come on, you can't not like Ruby. Ruby's fun. Some interesting cross between a cat and a dog in some ways, it seems. But a reptile, actually, if my memory serves, and quite colorful, really. Where does Ruby go? I like Ruby better than Gonk. There's Ruby. Ruby and Gonk are kind of like right there, you know? Right there. Same kind of idea between the two characters. Oh, yeah. This guy. I just I shoved this guy in to stand in for the Salvage Corps people we see. We don't get a lot out of those Salvage Corps people over in episode 7 and the beginning of 8. But we get a little out of them. So, the Salvage Corps people. And they're perfectly adequate, really. Yeah. Perfectly adequate. I think that's what I will go ahead and say about them. So, bottom of the C tier. I mean, nothing negative, so they're not D-tiering, but perfectly adequate. I mean, if they were a little more prominent and only developed as much as they were, then they would hit the D tier. Saw Guerrera up next. Who we only actually saw in the 1 episode. I actually thought he might pop back up in this season. It didn't happen. So, probably in season 2 or 3, I'll be surprised if we don't see Saw again in the show. But, yeah. Oh, his helmet's almost like Raven's? Yeah, that rings to something I was thinking about on them too, which was interesting. So Guerrera, where does he go ahead and pop up at? I thought we did a pretty decent job of just seeing him briefly, because it was pretty brief. But a pretty interesting job anyway. Not enough to hit the A tier, though. He's going to get a B tier. And I'm going to put him above Bib and below Muchi. There's Guerrera. Based purely off the Bad Batch. Not Clone Wars, not Rebels, not Rogue One. Just Bad Batch. Okay. Hey, we've got Scorch up there. I thought this was kind of the best shot I had of him, even if you got the stun shot coming there during the middle of this one. But, yeah, so there's Scorch. To be honest, I can't say a whole lot about him just based off of that episode. He certainly was competent. But, what else can I say? Mega Wyrex, Saw Guerrera, his band of fanatics from Krennic, yes. But, no, I mean, we did a great job with Scorch for not having had, I mean, ever taking his helmet off, you know, in there, for instance. What a really impressive job, actually. I don't know if I can give him A tier. I just don't think there's enough there. I mean, it's in my potential category and very impressively done. So I don't think he can quite hit it. I think he'll take the top of the B tier away from Muchi, though. Because I really did think Scorch was really impressive from his performance there. So yeah, he'll top out the B tier. Next up, Senator Avi Singh. Funny enough, Avi Singh was good, decent. You know, he did the job exactly what it was that he was supposed to do. Had a little challenge of his heart at the end about leaving the planet to try to help it, blah, blah, blah. Had a challenge at the beginning as to whether he would really support the Empire, and then, well, ended up not. And I don't know if we'll see him again. I don't know if he himself will pop up. It's more what he represents that's important to the show, rather than him as a character that's important. So, yeah, it's interesting. Sailor, you put a B. You know what? I'm shifting Scorch. Scorch goes here. we're putting him there. There. I was being too generous there for a bit. He's still B tier. But I just can't top him. Those four are more interesting than Scorch was. To be honest, Roland might even be, but we'll leave it. Okay. Avi Singh. I loved, you know, the crisis there, you know, and crisis of conscience and the decisions he had to go through. I thought that was really intriguing. He was an interesting character, and I would like to see him again if he becomes part of the whole response to Antar atrocity and everything else that goes on in there. So definitely I would like to see him again. And also we got to see some of his reactions during the interrogation, during the fight sequence, some of the reactions going on in there too. Avi Singh, where do you go? It's A or B. I mean, it's either low A or high B. It's one of those two spots. I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about, you know, there are a couple characters here, a couple characters here. Where does Senator Avi Singh pop up? And I do hope we see him again. I will say that. I don't know if we will, though. Not willing to put my bets on it. Right here. I think Avi Singh was actually more interesting than Caleb Doom. Although Gregor, even from his time we saw him, more interesting than Avi Singh. Well, and I liked him more, would be the more important point. Hey, it's Senator Ornfree Ta! What a character. Always is. You love to hate him kind of thing. This certainly remains true here. Certainly remains true here. Here. While we're talking about political leaders, he's below Lamazu but above Gregor. And there's Avi Singh. We got like our political... A is almost becoming the political leader tier, apparently. Done a good job with some of these political leaders. Okay, up next we have Sula Queen, the mother of Jack and Shay, and wife of Cut. And pretty dang good with a gun. Fast to action when we end up having to go ahead and repel off when Omega was outside of the fence and whatnot. Now she was quick to action on that one. Don't know too much about her as a character. She didn't exactly really get the same time to shine as Cut did. But she was interesting from what we saw. I think I would put her... Here we go. Below the Martez Sisters. Above Ruby. Yeah, that's Sula Queen. Grand Moff Tarkin. You are up next. What comes next? Grand Moff Tarkin. Good luck. Oh my god, let's see on the side. Eat yourself. Champ, probably. The Tub of Lard gets a D for just being him. I can understand that. As I said, character you love to hate, right? He's not repulsive to me or anything like that. Like, what's his name from Rebels? Shoot. Our gangster from Rebels. I can't think of his name right now. Anyway. Yeah. Grand Moff Tarkin, where are you going, buddy? Man, I think we did a good job with Grand Moff Tarkin within the course of this one. I must say, he was well presented. We took him out, at a decent time so as to not have to worry about him being the big villain, to potentially have defeats. But yeah, no, very impressive. I mean, Tarkin's always impressive. I mean, when the heck is he not? When the heck is Tarkin not? Tarkin's up here. Tarkin's in the middle of the double S tier. We've done a good job with Tarkin every time we bring him in, it feels like. I love Tarkin as a character. Okay. I commented it doesn't like my Kaminoans, so, yeah. There's Nala Se. You can't really see her head, but it's Nala Se. Believe it. Poor Nala Se. S for you because he's so evil. Yeah. I understand that too. Gyroscope. Hey, hello there, Gyroscope. You would put Tarkin below SS. Tarkin, you may fire when ready. So not quite a double S for you. Alright, so Nala Se. By far the least interesting of our three Kaminoan characters we had. She kind of was just functionally there. Funny because one of the couple characters we knew from the movie. But, very uninteresting in here, to be honest. She was just there to be another Kaminoan and to be an assistant to the Prime Minister. And, because, well, we didn't trust Nala Se, so... sorry. Why am I saying Nala Se? Tanway. Tanway was there because we didn't trust Nala Se to go ahead and take care of things. So, well, we better go ahead and send off Tanway instead. So Tanway... would have been interesting if she was a little more of a character than she was. She just wasn't. Wasn't much to her. There she goes. D tier. Middle of the D tier. It's not that she's actively bad or I hate her or anything. Just, there's barely anything to her. Yeah. Our next most maligned of the different Bad Batch characters, it's Tech. If they didn't know what to do with Echo, they didn't know a whole lot much more to do with Tech than they did with Echo. But he got a little more. He got a little more life in the show than Echo did. Give him that much. I mean, that's why it's been part of my predictions. I mean, if you really wanted to kill off a Bad Batch character, kill Echo off. Maybe that'll at least help Tech out a little. Ouch. But yeah, he just wasn't that interesting within the show. Which pains me to say it. I want to like him more than that. I mean, I like the idea of his character. I like the idea of the Tech character, the more sciencey, techie character. Heck, some of the stuff in the finale actually was nice for Tech. Funny enough, right at the very end of the season, you know, the whole line with Crosshair, and then over to, was it Echo he was talking with that? I think it might have been Echo. But anyway, the piece about, well, I may go ahead and say I understand Crosshair. It sure as hell doesn't mean I agree with him. So I'm hoping we get a little more development that kind of direction with him. Because again, Tech could be really interesting. He's a techie, sciencey character. I tend to gravitate to those type of characters a little more. But we just didn't do much of anything with him. And he just constantly faded into the background, along with Echo. So, not as badly as Echo, though. So, what do I do with you, Tech? What do I do with you? I don't know. Tech is A for you. Not for me. I wish he was A for me. I would like him to be A for me. But as far as the sciencey side, when you say Spock, for saying the other side, Echo actually might be the better fit. A little less human in that sense. A little more acclimating back or something. Hello there to Donald Redrow. I think I'm going to put Tech in the C tier. I think he's going C. Yeah. I'm going to put him here. I mean, in some ways, maybe he should rank above the two people right above him. But, again, back to when he's there in the entire season and he's that wasted, then that takes some points off for me, too. It just does. There's Tech. Moving on to happier things. Toto! We get to see him in 2 episodes, technically. The end of 8 and then, well, throughout 9. Toto's always fun. Who doesn't like Toto? I remember in Clone Wars being surprised that he survived that first explosion. I really think he was actually meant to die in that, but then they just liked Toto enough that they brought him back. But hey, Maul can survive being cut in half. Toto can survive too. Why not? But anyway, purely off of Bad Batch. Toto time. And oh man, Omega easily pulled one over on him. Not that Toto's ever been the brightest. Although, again, just Bad Batch, clearly not the brightest, necessarily. Let's see, where does Toto get to go to? Toto. Here, Toto. Here, boy. Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. That's Toto, but not Toto, but whatever. I like Toto better than Chopper, just within here. It was too much fun. I liked him. Okay, how about random green astromech droid that the Martez Sisters had? Everybody loves that green astromech, right? Based off of this episode in which we barely saw this astromech at all? No? No. Huh. Yeah, me neither. Really just nothing to say for this one. Yeah, bottom of that D tier out. How am I? I am doing pretty good. How about you, Donald? Definitely doing pretty good. 4 more characters to rank, including 2 of the biggest characters in the show, actually, and 2 of the absolute smallest. So, Vice Admiral Rampart. Not actually introduced in the opening episode. He was introduced in episode 2 when we saw the holo recording of him presenting the chain codes and whatnot, and then really introduced in episode 3 over on Kamino. So Rampart kind of became our villain that we got to go ahead and see beaten back over on Ryloth. Although in fairness, it was kind of more his people around him that were more beaten. I mean, he still succeeded essentially what he was trying to do, even if it took a little more damage than he meant for it to. And I'm actually impressed. Often we have a bad habit of making whatever our Imperial villain is be defeated more. Not the case with Rampart, actually. And what he's working on doing and whatnot is incredibly intriguing. And so, yeah, no, it's character, too. I rather liked Rampart. And, yeah, good villain. Good villain for the show. Actually, one of the things this show has done well as far as the major antagonists are concerned. Some of the smaller ones, not so much. I mean, you see down in the D tier over there. So, but as far as the major ones are concerned, done quite well with them. So Rampart, you are going to go up. Rampart's an S tier for me. I'll just say that off the bat. The question is where in the S tier he ranks out at. It's like I'd watch more about the adventures of Rampart and Tarkin. Something like that. Get an Imperial's base story. Just take a look at these characters a little more. I think that could be fun. Rampart for you is rank P for punchable. Yep, I can see that. I think I'm going to put him above Nala Se and below Hauser. There we go. That's Rampart. Okay, so we've got these 2 people from Saw's camp. I have no idea what their names are. They were actually in both episode 1 and episode 3 when we returned to the planet. They were in both of them. I know little to nothing about them. I thought they were interesting enough to go ahead and put them into this. That's about all I can give you for them. That they're both dead now, so we'll never see anything more about these characters anyway. But they were interesting. I mean, just as far as what little we got to know about them, I think, you know, they're both solid C tier type characters. It's what they are. Kind of right about here. Both in the similar area. I think she was a little more interesting. We got to see a little more of her. But she got killed directly by Crosshair in the end. D tier since they're dead. It'll be the dead tier. You're dead to me. Okay, everyone, we've made it to the end. 1 character left. Wrecker. Finally, Wrecker with a big W on that name gets you way late in the whole ranking. I love Wrecker, by the way. Love Wrecker as a character. It's so much freaking fun. Which surprised me. I didn't think Wrecker was going to end up nearly this high for me if you would have asked me before the show started. I mean, he was fun in the Bad Batch arc in Clone Wars, sure, but I wouldn't have expected this to be the character they would make such a big deal of. And man, if they didn't. I mean, they made a big deal out of Wrecker. By the way, while I'm at it, let's just go shift a few things around here. If I was too generous with some of those D tiers. These are Fs. Nah, you're a D. There we go. That one joined the F tier. One quick little change. Meanwhile, Wrecker, though. Exactly how high does Wrecker go? That is the question right now that I'm facing and debating. He's double S, by the way. Yeah, he is definitely a double S tier. So Wrecker's going all the way up to the top. But not the top. He's not going to beat out Omega. But, so yeah, Omega does win this. Yeah. Do a few Bad Batch characters right at the top. There we go. That's it. 65 characters ranked right there. So, the top of this is Omega, then Crosshair, then Wrecker, then Tarkin, Cad Bane, Fennec Shand. Where's my double S? Look, the bounty hunter's bottoming out the double S tier. Wait till we get Boba Fett, he'll probably pop his way up that way too, right? Wrecker is S for you because he's you 30 years ago in the military. Oh, interesting. But only an S then? You don't rate yourself a double S in the military 30 years ago? Aw, being too hard on yourself. You should double S yourself. That sounds really weird. I don't know what double S-ing yourself means in that sense, but it sounds weird. Okay. So there we go. That is it. The 65 characters I thought were big enough to be worthy of mentioning here for Season 1 of The Bad Batch. We'll see which of these characters we get to see more of in Season 2. I know, heck, if we're talking about the double S tier, I imagine we'll see every one of them next season. Cad Bane's probably the biggest question mark. Actually, Tarkin's a decent question mark, but it'll probably pop in just once somewhere. So, I guess Tarkin's the biggest question mark for me in Season 2, if he'll show up. As far as the S tier, yeah, I'll make a bet that everybody in the S tier will show up in Season 2 at some point. The A tier, I don't think Cutler Queen will pop into the show again. I really don't think we'll see him again. And to some degree, I don't think I want to see him again. I think his story is done, and I don't think we need to have him in here. I could question whether Orn Free-Taw will pop in. And whether Senator Avi Singh pops into Season 2, or whether it's like a Season 3, or whether he doesn't at all, I'm not sure. And obviously Caleb won't. But a lot of A tier, I think, will show up in Season 2. Oh, what do you got? Cool. Can I give you the release date for the Cad Bane spin-off show? If only. If only, right? As soon as somebody leaks the information to me, go ahead and let me know, and I'll let you all know when the Cad Bane show is popping up. Sailor X, you're humble. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Well, there, I'll put you up in the double S tier. Now, I think a lot of these characters pop back up into the future, unless they're dead here. A lot of these will probably come back in Season 2. Except for some of these really tiny characters in here, or these people who are just a merchant or whatever. Hey, hello there to Dr. Stephen Harlan. We have another person popping in at the end. You say Cad is like you, popping in at the end. Right at the end of episode 8, right? Yeah. By the way, what's surprising to me, actually, I put only 2 things in the F tier. And in fairness, maybe I shouldn't even counted that green astromech droid as a character. One can make a fair argument for that. The other one is, and I'm going to have to fix these pictures so it make sure it gets the heads in here a little bit better next time. Cad Bane, Battle of the Hunters. That could be a fun one. That could be a fun one. But yeah. Interesting. Look at how little F, and even the D tiers, I mean, it's not actually that much in there. I am impressed by how much the whole thing is just shifting up. It's like, that was not the case for Rebels, and Clone Wars certainly has its clunkers too. And I want Echo out of that D tier. At the end of Season 2, Echo better be higher. Come on. Please develop Echo a little more. Give me an echo that we should have in the show. Same with Tech. Get him out of that C tier. I want the entire main characters to at least be B tier and above. At least get them up that interesting for me. Oh well. For now, it is what it is. And we'll see if Captain Bragg pops back up. She could always go higher, or she could go lower. Either one's possible if she pops back up. Same with the Pikes. I don't know what the heck will happen with characters like Bolo and whatnot. Whether they'll go up, down, stay the same. Who knows? Interesting stuff. Okay. Been streaming for a couple hours, actually, and it took a little while to go ahead and do that. I mean, 65 characters. There were a few here. There definitely were a few. And as I said, more than I actually expected, to be honest. I did not think there would be that many characters. How many were there? Let's see if I can remember it all. How many characters I had back in Rebels for the first one. And again, admittedly, I think I missed somewhere on the order of up to 5 characters that very first time I did a ranking in Rebels. Because I remember I had to grab some of those characters back when it came to Season 2 and things like that. There you go, you can see it. That's all the characters I actually ranked in Rebels for the first one. Not very many, actually. $24. Just barely over a third of how many I just ranked. Season 2 got to be a bit more. You can see how many I've got here in Season 2 back in Rebels. So back in Rebels world right there. Quite a few more. Quite a few. By the way, speaking of what I was saying on some of these characters, where are some of my people? Because the comics are in here as of this one on Season 2. So I should have some of them in here. Speaking of my clones, there they are. See, they're both B tier in here, as opposed to shoving them down to the D tier as I did in this one, just because of how it was presented. It's like, oh, I was sad about that. And what did I do with Caleb in here? Caleb I put up in the high A tier for Rebels back the first time I ranked him. So you can see just where some of these characters ranked in at this. Hera's actually higher here than she is before, but then again, that's not a surprise. Surprising is how high I ranked Hera within just her Bad Batch appearance. That surprised me. And you see Gregor in the B tier. So what's really interesting to me, though, I have around a little over 70 characters there, right? I have 65 here. One season of Bad Batch, and I put 65 people up. Maybe you could argue I could be down to 60 if I ranked a few less. 2 seasons of Rebels, and I had just over 70? Just barely more characters in 2 seasons of Rebels? And Rebels, by the way, was longer. Right? It was longer even with the first season, right? No, the first season was shorter, wasn't it? Yeah, it was shorter. But still, combine all of that together, you'd expect there'd be more characters in that Rebels ranking. Interesting stuff. Well, you're right, Scal, it was before... sorry, Fabian, yes. Hello there, Fabian, by the way. It was before the finale. I ranked it right before. Weird timing, I know. If you want that includes Maul there. That was... my 3 right before the finale. If my memory serves, I ranked it right before as well. And you see Maul up here. Nice and high up right there. But yeah, it's true. It was right before the finale. Which kind of changes things a little bit for people like, Maul and Ahsoka. Especially. Well, anyway, So there you go, 65 characters. We'll see how many we gain next year in Season 2 of the Bad Batch. And yeah, definitely I will go ahead and be doing Mandalorian character rankings, I'd say closer to Season 2. I don't know, maybe I'll do it before Book of Boba. Maybe I'll do it here closer to the end of the year. Where would I rank the music on this list? Oh, I mean, if I'm having to go episode by episode, I'd really have to relook at it. Oof, that's tricky. Or if I'm looking at the different pieces of music. If I'm just talking about it as a whole, put it up there, double S that music. I mean, music was good throughout this show. I mean, there are definitely the highlights where it really shone through, too. I mean, episode 15 being a great example. And, of course, Cad Bane's section being a great example, too. But, no, the music was really good. There are times it faded more away. Maybe I'd rank it down more an A or an S tier. But, I mean, it would never have gone below an A tier as far as where the music's sitting. So, yeah, no, the music was good in this show. 100%. Definitely MegaWireX. Definitely, you are more than welcome. It was fun doing it, and thank you for coming and joining. I said that's part of what makes it really fun to go ahead and do. I said really getting to interact with all of you as I'm doing it. So yeah, probably near the end of the year, I'll go ahead and do character rankings for seasons 1 and 2 of Mandalorian. I don't know if I'll probably just combo the whole thing. Maybe. Maybe I'll do season 1 and then 2. We'll see what I do. I don't know. Figure it out later. Plenty of time. I say plenty of time, but it's August already, and Book of Boba will start up in just over 4 months. It's actually not nearly as long as I give it credit for. Heck, is talking about Bad Batch here. That was over 3 months ago that it started. It is barely longer from now until Book of Boba than it was from now until when Bad Batch started. Go ahead and think about that one for a moment. Yep. Okay. Well, everyone, I think I will probably get taken off. So if you've got anything else, put it into that chat quickly, because otherwise I am going to go dash. Rebel Season 4 is coming up one of these next 2 Sundays, so coming up soon. We just got to get out the regular videos first, because I don't want to do the ranking without the regular videos out first. So I've got to get those out. I'm trying to get those out. And then, yeah, we'll do a ranking. I was hoping originally next Sunday, but I'm not sure that timing's going to work. It might be the Sunday after. So, one of the next 2 Sundays will be the answer to that question right there. Yeah. Which would be, so either Sunday the 22nd or Sunday the 29th, probably. Anyway, good question. There's my answer. And then, with that, let's say again, thank you everybody for joining. Everybody who just watches and doesn't even say anything, that's also great too. And hey, if you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment down below about some of your rankings or big agreements or disagreements with me on the characters. I'll try to respond. So thank you everyone. And until next time, have a magical day. And may the Force be with you. Always.